Hey guys, Infidel1258 here, and in this video we're going to be responding to comments from the community. This specifically is going to be around one comment pertaining to power creep within the card selection, and it's from a friend of the channel, Bananas. So if that sounds interesting, you want to stick around and hear my thoughts, please do. Otherwise, thanks for your time and have an amazing day. Let's get into it. Okay, so power creep. Cards are getting better, things are getting crazy, it's breaking the game, some people think. I did a video talking about it and really pointing to the fact that, in fact, power creep is just something that happens in collectible card games. And in this video as I go to the comment section today, I saw Bananas drop the comment, and always appreciate Bananas' insights. He and I don't always see eye to eye, and he can be maybe more bearish than I am in some respects, maybe more realistic, he might say. But in this context, I think I fully agree. And I want to feature his comment, and I want to add to it because I have some unique thoughts around beyond what I said in my recent video, because I think this is actually a bigger issue, an older issue that dates back to the beginnings of what Splinterlands is, and I want to point to you with evidence to that. So let's get into it. Banana says, this game has always had OP cards that help people win. OP in quotations, because what does that even mean, right? Those cards have typically been expensive. It's part of the game, and people need to stop acting like it's a bad thing. With time, new cards will take the spotlight. It's part of the fun. In the past, I usually did have the OP cards of the time, like Selenious Sky. Yeah, that was OP at the time. Yeah, Selenious Sky is a dragon summoner that adds 1 archery damage to all archers. And of course that's powerful because plus 1 archery damage is meaningful, but then to use it with dragon, meaning you can use it with any splinter, any archer. Yeah, some immediate connections and synergies start going to my head, like Axemaster. I bet you played that a lot. Axemaster, the double striking archer unit, which with close range and cripple. What a crazy combo that is. He goes on to say Prince Rin, Yodin, Kitty, etc. Yeah, and that, so he's going all the way back to, I think, beta with Selenious Sky, or more modern cards like Yodin and Kitty. And it was fun. They helped me win lots of battles, and I can't afford to spend that much money on the game anymore. And I have since sold most of those cards, but I had a lot of success with them for a while I had them. And that's just part of the game too. Only having certain cards in your collection for a time and then making room for something else, is just part of the game. I fully agree, and I just want to add one angle on this issue is that I really think the more I've thought about this, the older this actually is. And he pointed to it, right? He featured just now, he was talking about the Dragon Summoner. We're looking at Rebellion here. Yeah. So he was commenting on how he used to have Selenious Sky. This is an alpha card actually, but there's a beta version as well. And this is important to my point. This is as old as this game of Splinterlands. When we talk like, for instance, people said Lux Vega broke the game. Like it's Kelia, but it's better. It's neutral. That can be played in every circumstance. People say that about Grimbarden Smith. They say that about Mantaroth. To Banana's point, people want to make it seem as though this is a brand new issue that started with, these amazing new Rebellion summoners, or with something like Grimbarden Smith, or maybe with Mantaroth. Or how about with, Tofu, and how that's got a 72% win rate by some accounts. Or maybe it's the auction cards like Heloise the Hollow, or maybe it's the legend cards that are in some ways kind of crazy powerful and introducing new abilities that are really wild. Or maybe it's old Chaos Legion Soulbound reward cards that everyone talks about. Iziar's, must have and absolutely broken, and, people complained about not having it for 6 months, 8 months while other people had it. And, it's just the reality is that there's always an introduction of new assets to any collectible card game. And if you don't have them, they're going to beat you. But even if you do have them, do you even know how to use them? That's the other piece. It's not just power. It's about understanding how to utilize it. And so we do Splinterlands a disservice, or any collectible card game, when we imply that new cards are win condition. Because frankly, cards like Grimbarden Smith and Tofu, and even cards like Iziar, they can and do lose. Even if they have high win rates, Tofu, like I said a moment ago, according to Splinter Coach, 72% win rate. And that's exceptional. It's probably the best summoner in the game, or at least it's in the top 3 conversation. It's exceptional, and of course it's powerful, and yes, it's worth owning. But at the same time, when you then take a step back and understand that, one, like Bananas alluded to, you can't have everything. And even if you do have everything, at times you're going to want to sell them just because you like the evolution of the meta. You want to keep it fresh and try new things. And so if you have cards like this, does it make sense to hold it because it has a crazy win rate? Or what could you do with $600? Because that's what we're talking about. $60 per BCX, 11 BCX to get a max copy, $650 for a max card. Is that worth it? It's not just about how powerful is a card. It's about what does it do within the context of what you can do in the game. It's one card versus you could probably buy 5 really powerful cards for that same budget, $650. And so would any of those have the same 72% win rate? No, but most players don't have every card under their arsenal. And so adding 5 new cards versus 1 new card is a decision that is part of the game within the game in Splinterlands. People say powerful cards break the game. Actually, no, they create an interesting juxtaposition for the player, a choice, a distinction, a divergence in the road. Are you going to go to the path of least resistance where you buy the most expensive cards because you understand that they have the greatest impact on the meta singularly, or are you going to recognize that you only have a limited budget and you can stretch that fund and access the game in a more meaningful way with a variety of options if you use that in a different manner? $650 could buy you probably 4 different summoners and maybe 3 or 4 extra cards for those cards. I mean, honestly, $650 could buy you a brand new full Chaos Legion set. And so the question isn't just, is a card broken, but does the price point reflect that as well? When we look at cards like Heloise the Hollow, for this thing selling at around $1,100 US or 1.3 million DC, it's not just, is it powerful? It's, does the price point make sense for you? Because yes, there's going to be cards that you're going to beat you and you're never going to get. But the truth, that's true about every card. You don't have every card, not even close. Even the best of us don't. I've been here longer than you. I put more money into this probably than most of you, and not all of you, but most of you. And yet I have, a mediocre Modern League deck. I have like half of the Rebellion cards. I have a Max Chaos set, and yet I struggle to get in Modern Champ. The point isn't, are cards growing in power? Of course they are. And it also, the conversation isn't, did this just start happening and has the game fallen off some sort of major cliff because the card design has recently broken? No, of course not. These are not new things with these new legends or the new auction cards. It's not even as old as the Soulbound reward cards. It goes literally all the way back to the beginning of the game. And we know that because as we look at alphas and betas, what do you find? I mean, Selenia Sky was one of the cards that Bananas mentioned. Selenia Sky is literally an alpha card. It's a powerful summoner, and at the time, when it was released, it was exceptionally impactful because +1 archery really matters, and to be able to synergize that with any other Splinter, of course that matters. And so for all those reasons, of course that card was powerful, but guess what? From alpha, the first edition of cards that was ever released in this game, where there was practically no one playing the game, we moved into beta. And what is that if not power creep? Understand this about alpha and beta if you don't know this. Alpha cards have no neutrals. Did you know that? There is no results found when I search filter neutral with alpha. And that's because there is no neutrals within the alpha card edition. But then when I click on beta, what happens? Boom. We get 9 new cards. We get Peaceful Giant, Grumpy Dwarf, Elven Cutthroat, Enchanted Pixie Centaur, Coquetry, Cyclops, Raging Impaler, and Magi Sphinx. Now these cards and there's Hydra as well, so 10 of them. 10 brand new cards, which at the time literally turned this game on its head. These are neutral cards that are playable with any Splinter. You want to talk about power creep? Forget about a new card with a new ability. How about a brand new card that works with every one of my summoners, with every one of my teams? These cards were so impactful. And yet, that's literally, alphas came out when there was probably like 100 people playing this game. In fact, there was no game when alphas originally launched. Then betas came along and it started to become a playable game, and betas were sold because alphas just were sold out. And so they were so, at that moment in terms of design, as I understand the story, they were so behind the ball in terms of design. The team was just, I think, maybe 3 people at the time. They literally just copied and pasted the old alphas into the new betas, but they added 10 new cards and called them neutrals. And that was, of course, exciting to everyone who played. But that is power creep. That is the nature of card design in any collectible card game. Of course, there's new cards, and of course, they're desirable, and of course, they're powerful. But the question is never just as simple as, are these new cards more powerful than others? It's actually a complex conversation around, one, if it's really powerful, what is the cost? Because if everybody can get it, then it's not really powerful because anybody can have it. So there's a counterplay and a mirror opportunity. First of all, that's not usually what we do here, though. We usually price it highly, like Heloise the Hollow or some of these legends. And by doing that, we say not everybody's going to have it. And in that path, of course, some of you are grumpy because you don't get it and you're not going to have that toy to play with, and other people are going to beat you when they perform with it. Yeah, probably 6 or 7 times out of 10, they're going to beat you when they have access to that card and you don't. But that doesn't mean you that's the end of your day. You have 24 energy per day, and you're gonna be able to play 23 other matches where you're probably not gonna run into that card. Even the most meaningful cards are played, probably 5 times a day out of the 24 matches you get to play. And I'm telling you from data, these are data-centered responses. Like I know from tracking with Splinter Coach, which by the way, you should check out Splinter Coach, not a paid promotion. I just love their service. You're able to track all of your data within Splinter cards, within Splinterlands, to see which cards you win with, how often you play them, and in what conditions and circumstances. Not just that, but what cards do you play with it. And the best of the best cards will play 5 times a day. And so, yes, the best of the best cards are going to change and separate the premier elite players from the middle ground. Of course they are. But what are we complaining about here? That new cards are released that you can't afford? That's so crazy. Enjoy what we have. Find joy in what you can do. Recognize that even if you run into the wall of a Grimbarn Smith, which I do all too often, and I'm annoyed by it because I don't have it, or a Mantaroth, or eventually a Heloise the Hollow, or a Tofu, there's sometimes ways to beat it, and you can take joy in it, and that's the pathway to celebrating and enjoying the evolution of power creep. Of course, power creep's real. Of course, it's impacting Splinterlands. It impacts every collectible card game. The question is, can the team navigate the introduction of new powers while honoring, first of all, at a rate that is not going to delete or make irrelevant older cards? That's the first piece of it. And the second piece, with respect to older cards, can we instill or sew into them some sort of additional significance that goes beyond the play? We do have Modern League and Wild League. Wild League allow those older cards to play. Modern doesn't. And so Wild League itself represents an example of how old cards can find utility. Then you have tournaments which can be focused on alphas or on betas or on Untamed or Dice. And that, therefore, those older cards are finding new utility in a new way, finding access to revenue sources that are only available to those communities, not to modern cards, not to Tofu, not to Heloise the Hollow, etc. In addition to that, of course, there's the land access and the increased returns that are made possible through land with older cards. And so I hear you saying that you aren't going to have those cards, and it's annoying that other people are going to be able to beat you when they play them. But that is what a game like this is. You are never going to have every toy. And you have to stop acting as if you deserve them. In a collectible card game, the reason why this is interesting is because the cards are themselves scarce. If everyone had them, they would have no value. If everyone had them and there was no value, the rewards would mean nothing. The fact that this is revolutionary, or the way that this is revolutionary and interesting, is because the cards are themselves limited in nature. Even the soulbound reward cards, which were printed significant levels, are limited in number, especially those that are unlocked. And so whatever reward you're receiving in a game like this, it is limited in nature to some degree, and that scarcity represents utility or value. It speaks to the intrinsic worth of that asset. And if that fails to be true, because we are so concerned about access, everyone wants the latest toy, so we want to make it ubiquitous, meaning everyone gets a copy, then we're saying we don't want there to be value to the cards. And also we're saying that we don't want there to be uniqueness across different accounts. Everything that we are concerned about with respect to card collection and the inability to access everything that is out there, I don't look at that as that's not a bad thing. That's literally the secret sauce here. It's the fingerprint that makes your deck different than mine. It's the interesting thoughtfulness that then comes from that place of, your toolkit, and can you beat me with my toolkit? That's the fun of this thing. I just really feel strongly about this, and the suggestion that power creep is something new. I really wanted to add to that because it isn't. It hasn't come with the legends and it hasn't come with the soulbound reward cards. It came with literally the second edition ever released in this video game. The betas brought neutrals, and that turned the game on its head. And so any suggestion that new introduced powers or abilities or synergies or summoners are going to somehow break the game because they're really significant in power and substance, even when they're so good as 72% win rate with like a card like Tofu, that doesn't break the game. It's just another option within the toolkit of the player. And the question is, how is that player going to utilize it? And it's not just about the coach who utilizes the cards and counterplays that are available, but it's also about the general manager, because a $650 card is one choice a player could make. One card with a high win rate for a big price, or many cards with a lower win rate, but then giving me a great diversity of selection and options. That is the amazing and exciting part of how this game is played and how you prepare to play it. That's why this is fun. We need to look at the uniqueness and the diversity of selection across accounts created by the multitude of card options, not as a detractor from why this game is good, but actually as proof that it is. It's literally the secret sauce for why this is special, why this is revolutionary, and why it's impactful. And so that's my opinions. And Ben, thank you for your comments too. I largely agree with what you're pointing to there. And I love that you brought up pardon me. I love that you brought up the oldest of cards and into some of the newer ones where people sometimes point to Kitty or to Yoden as if the mold was broken in those moments. No, man. Every time in every card and every edition, the mold is being remade. And that's the exciting nature of the evolution of the meta within Splinterlands. It's not a problem. It's not a bug. It's the feature. And so that's what I think. What do you guys think in the comments below? Let me know. Have an amazing day. God bless.